Hello, Wake Up New Zealand. Carol Saker speaking. Well, I really missed this one. I mean, this has been happening the last couple of years, and this hit on the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, our central bank in New Zealand, and around central bank digital currency. So the Reserve Bank have this so-called new narrative that's been going on for a couple of years, and it's called Tane Mahuta, the money tree of New Zealand that saps your money. So central bank, well, they're in most countries, and their currencies are actually owned by the government, but they're very independent in their practice and quite unaccountable to anyone. So to get a structural reform, to transform a structural reform of banking, they have to have a recession or a crisis, and it has to be ongoing, so that they can transform the whole banking system, as in the central bank digital currency. So this creates a massive abuse of power, and it's extremely costly, very manipulative, and can be severely damaging to people's lives, to businesses that may never recover, to people who lose property, homes, businesses. It can be really devastating. So this is what happens when you live in a recession, and they say our recession is coming. Excuse me. Crisis structural changes in policies and banking systems, government, banking systems, monetary institutions. Systems a roadmap to banking systems becoming central digital currency transformation. The Bank of International Settlements is reference to central bank rates, which are higher interest rates. So CBDC, higher interest rates, forces other institutions to increase their interest rates, making the cost of borrowing really high, and it negatively affects businesses. So each central bank in each country have their own national currencies, and they are owned by the state. So when you have declining growth and corporate profit, this risks weakening the country's currency. So the Reserve Bank of New Zealand has now been named Te Pātia Mahuta. This is New Zealand's future of money. The future of CBDC, reported the 6th of the 12th, 2021, includes the description of key terms used to support the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. So Tane Mahuta has become the mandate, the future of money in New Zealand. The Reserve Bank have reported a Maori official reference will be made to Tane Mahuta when it comes to the future of money in New Zealand, describing Te Toto as the sap of the tree that represents the Reserve Bank's New Zealand future banking system, CBDC. So Tane Mahuta representing the ecosystem of New Zealand from a financial structure of the Reserve Bank, referring to a high level of policy making, stating the Reserve Bank says it's useful to have a central bank digital currency in New Zealand. The Kaitiaki o Te Toto, the steward of money in New Zealand, a dynamic monetary financial system, a stable anchor for convertibility, an opportunity to broaden central bank money, which will be available to all individuals, communities, and businesses. So they refer to high policy opportunities, referring to the CBDC to improve technology. The CBDC future for New Zealand, CBDC Pay and Save Gateway to formal financial sector, supporting wider inclusions by prioritising government programs. So CBDC and ecosystems as a distribution model as acting as a catalyst in the payments of ecosystems, enabling New Zealand to take part in global initiatives that use CBDC payments innovation systems to crowd out other innovations such as cryptocurrencies, looking to regulate those, to crowd them out, to get rid of crypto, because it is critical that they do that for CBDC to survive. So Reserve Bank of New Zealand with strategic elements represented in Tane Mahuta. The objective is CBDC, Tane Mahuta, the money tree that is controlled by the state. Crisis events, a series of crisis events to transform the banking structural system, to take away your freedoms. So CBDC, protecting governments and those in privileged positions to extend control over people's money and control over people themselves. This is a digital revolution. This is a transformation of transforming currencies and finances. So the professor of trade, policy and economics of Cornell University gave a very blunt assessment of CBDC, saying central banks will take money out of people's accounts to conduct monetary policy. There is no free society. Your money is not really your money. Your property rights are subservient to the public good. Not for your individual good, for the public good, because that's a necessity of managing the nation's economy, he says. He says that CBDC protects governments that have given themselves a privileged position to control other people's money, hence controlling people themselves. CBDC is the agent for the government in terms of implementing fiscal policy. It is the fiscal agent of the government. CBDC is the fiscal agent of the government. The Reserve Bank stating it is critical to regulate crypto because it poses a risk to CBDC. So CBDC, you are at high risk of cyber attacks, devaluation, increasing censorship, eroding purchasing power, a greater risk to your freedoms, and it's wholly owned by the government since 1936. The Reserve Bank has been wholly owned by the New Zealand government since 1936. It was established by an act in Parliament and constituted under the Reserve Bank later in the Reserve Bank Act 2021. So the Reserve Bank, New Zealand, Tane Mahuta, CBDC narrative is New Zealand's central bank future money is the CBDC, government controlled, that is not capable of looking after your money because they're using your money. They're using your money to control you. It's incompatible with economic, political freedoms, and the Reserve Bank of New Zealand, Tane Mahuta, climate strategy, the strategy through crisis, transforming the banking system. So if you look at ESGs, the Ponzi scheme, that's all about just putting what they need on paper to show that you're using renewable energies, or you're doing what they want you to do. But they will give money, loan money to businesses that do that. But if you don't comply, you won't get the money. And they're doing that as well. So that's already happening. So they are already controlling people's lives and businesses. So In my next video, I will go a bit deeper into this, what is happening around the Tane Mahuta narrative, the money tree of New Zealand that is about to sap your money. Wake up, New Zealand.